Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Holman's already kind of stole a little bit of my thunder here, but that's just fine. I'll try to cover maybe a few different angles than what had already been mentioned. First item I want to talk about is Norman Ford. As I said earlier, and as we all know, a part of the Norman Ford program is we rely on a lot of citizen participation through that process. There's a library ad hoc committee that's been formed to advise and to work with the staff and the community during the development of both of the libraries. And so the library ad hoc committee met yesterday to begin to looking at the design for the central branch library. We say now we're generally kind of at the schematic design stage, about 30-35% of the design completion. And you can see here, it's not coming through very clear here tonight, but in terms of this is a schematic of kind of the shape and the form for the new library. And as was mentioned already, really the final materials for the exterior really haven't been specified yet. But some of the comments that we received yesterday from the ad hoc committee was that we needed to do a little bit more work in terms of the exterior features of the library. There was some comment that we also want to look back to the north face of the library. For example, there was a lot of discussion about as visitors are coming into downtown, we want the ability for people to really have a very pleasant view of the library as they're coming southbound on James Garner down into the downtown area. So I think that's a kind of a good overall summary of what happened yesterday. The committee also encouraged the architects to go back and look at some additional landscaping alternatives around the entire library, but also on the north face of the library as well. Our group will meet again on July 14th to kind of take up this in a little bit more detail to see where we're going. So that's a little bit on that. A second component, yesterday, as I said, was a very exciting day. We covered a lot of Norman Ford yesterday. The Citizens Financial Oversight Board also met yesterday and received progress reports on much of what's been going on in Norman Ford. One of the key things that was discussed yesterday was what we call the implementation plan. The implementation plan really outlines the scope of all the work. It looks at conceptual budgets. It lays out the order in which the project or phases of the projects will commence. Frankly, it's meant to be kind of a living document that will be reevaluated and readopted over time. And then it also includes a communication component as well. And so the implementation is really a key document as we go forward during Norman Ford. It's really important because it documents the progress of the program as well as communicates to the public the projects that are ongoing as well as to their status. So yesterday we received feedback from the Citizens Financial Oversight Board, and they'll be meeting in a few more weeks to receive some additional, to provide some additional feedback to us. Once the implementation plan is received those comments, they'll be submitted to the City Council for final input and final approval as well. And then lastly, yesterday, we had a public meeting last night here in the council chambers where we received, our architects provided an update on both the East Library as well as the Central Library. We had a number of residents participated last night, and we appreciate their attendance, and I'm sure our architects will be taking all the information and working that into the plan as well. One more item on Norman Ford, and this is one that's been kind of under the radar, frankly, but it is really where you see we really are turning dirt. It's a smaller project, but it is one that is very important to us, and it's really what we call the Griffin Park regrading project. This project just began just recently. The project came as a result from a request from the Norman Youth Soccer Association, and they encouraged us to look at a couple of the fields in that complex in order to make some improvements that will really enhance the flow and the speed of the game, but will also reduce wear and tear on the turf areas out there. And so this is a smaller project. It's getting way. It's on the two fields, I guess you'd say, Mr. Foster, in the northwest portion of the park, the northeast portion of the park, and but that is well underway. The debt refinancing, of course, the council recently voted to refinance some of our 2005 and 2007 general obligation bonds here recently. We closed on those transactions on May the 13th. With respect to the general obligation bonds, that saved the city about $775,000, and that'll give us additional dollars that we can reuse back for additional capital projects. And then we also, on the 13th, also closed on a refinancing of a 2009 utility bond that will save our ratepayers almost $550,000 as well. And so just wanted the community to know that just as people in the community are taking advantage of refinancing, their own personal things, we're taking advantage of the low interest environment as well and delivering savings to our community. One last item here, getting close, is just Memorial Day is obviously next week. City administrative office will be closed at Monday in observance of Memorial Day. However, all of our customers that are on the Monday schedule, they'll continue to receive their normal schedule. So all of our polycart services, our recycling services, our solid waste collection, all that will move forward on Monday as well. The transfer station and all the compost facilities will be open as well. And then finally, our Wayfinding Signage pilot project. All of the 10 signs have now been installed and are up. We have a few punch list items that are being corrected, but we'd welcome your feedback on that to our office in terms of what people are seeing about that. Would just say this project really began in terms of its planning and development stages. Is a joint project between the city, the Chamber of Commerce, as well as our Convention and Visitors Bureau organizations. And so we're happy with the product and look forward to other people's feedback on that.